One of the big advantages to an IRA over a 401k is your ability to invest in whatever you want for the most part. This can also be a huge disadvantage if you make poor choices or if you just keep your money in cash and forget to invest it altogether. I've made both mistakes and seen investors do this on their own when I worked at Etrade. So in this video, I will show you how to make smart choices for your IRA and avoid the common mistakes that people make. You need to make investment choices for your IRA in two situations. First, when you open an IRA to save for your retirement and deposit money into the account, and two, when you open an IRA to transfer an old 401k into that account. I say this because sometimes people think that just by opening an IRA and putting money in, that they're investing. You aren't. You may still get a tax deduction for your deposit, but your money isn't invested until you actually purchase investments with the cash that you deposit into the account. Both situations are similar in how you'll invest. The difference will be in situation one, you'll be starting with a smaller amount most likely and investing as you make deposits. With situation two, the 401k provider you had will sell the investments you used and send cash to your new IRA. So you may have a larger lump sum to invest in this scenario. Now, here's 3 questions that will guide you to deciding how to invest inside your IRA. Question 1 is to determine how conservative or aggressive you want to be with your investments. Ask yourself, when do I plan to use this money? And how many years from now is that? If you're 35 and loosely plan to retire at 65, then you have 30 years before you would say that you need the money. Financial professionals like myself typically believe you can invest aggressively if you're at least 10 years away from actually needing the money. So if you're 60 and plan to use the money in 5 years, then you'd want to invest much more conservatively than someone further from needing the funds. If, however, you're 60 but have other income sources and don't see yourself using your IRA funds until you're 75, then you can still be more aggressive than the person that needs the money at age 65. So it's not all about age, it's really more about when you plan to use the funds that help to determine the balance of conservative to aggressive investments. Question 2 to ask yourself, how do you feel about seeing your money fluctuate in value over the years? The S&P 500 has an average of a 5% pullback 3 times in 1 year, a 10% correction every 16 months, and a 20% or greater plunge every 7 years. Most people will say they don't like losing money and ideally want to make money without risk. If you find yourself in this thought process, let me know in the comments below. It would be very beneficial for you to educate yourself further on how markets perform over time and give yourself some confidence in taking some risk because you can lose out on a lot of money by investing too conservatively for too long. If you really can't stomach the thought of your money going up and down in value, then you'll want to invest really conservatively, meaning mostly in bonds, CDs, high-yield savings accounts. You may barely keep up with inflation invested this way though, and it's typically best suited for those already in retirement and dependent exclusively on their accounts for income through retirement. Most people find themselves somewhere in the middle where they want to take on some risk but also stay somewhat conservative. Question 3, do you want to choose your own investments, use a robo-advisor, or hire a professional like myself to help you? Now, since you're watching this, I'm going to show you how to take the questions you've answered and choose your own investments. First, decide how conservative or aggressive you want to be using an asset allocation calculator like this one from Smart Asset. This is going hand in hand with question 1, and the descriptions for each allocation here will guide you through this as well. Typically, as mentioned earlier, the further you are from retirement or needing the money, the more aggressive you can be because you have both income as well as time on your side to recover from those market losses that will happen. Once you find your allocation, which just means how your portfolio is split between different investments, you can use individual stocks and Google something like large cap stocks or small cap stocks and choose a few from each category. But there is added risk investing in individual stocks and they require more research and attention. But take a look at this video for help on researching individual stocks. For today's video, I'm going to keep it simple and show you how to use index funds to fill your portfolio, which is a great way to invest for your retirement anyway. If you do like the idea of stocks, you can either use a brokerage account or mix them in with the index funds that you choose for your primary strategy. Now, after you have your allocation, you can Google best index fund for each category and choose one from there. Anything from Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab will be great. Just make sure it's an index fund so you know the fees are low. And let's do a quick walkthrough so you can see my exact process. As you go through each one, jot down the name because the next step will be determining how much gets invested in each. They have some zero cost options right here, but if you scroll down, there's some really low cost index fund options, and I like how they have it broken down from large cap, mid, small, international, all right here. You can see the expense ratio is very, very low. So this is the annual fee that you pay on the money that you have invested, and they have it side by side compared with Vanguard. So they're a lot cheaper too. Both are really great options, but this gives you a great place to start looking. And just to give you one example, if you're trying to decide, okay, between these three mid caps, how do I pick? What I would do is click on one, and then Fidelity brings you to this spot where you can then compare where you can just compare different funds. So click compare, and then they give you this chart here, and you want to take note of the other symbols so you could enter them there. I didn't do that, so let's go grab one of those. So one symbol, we're starting with this FSMDX. Just going to highlight and copy that right there. And so then when we're coming here to do that comparison chart, compare, it shows the performance of this one. Then you enter the one that you copied and add it, and it's going to add the chart here. So in this case, this second one we just added must be a new fund. That's why it starts awkwardly like way over here. And see the time frame down here. If you shorten up this time frame, you can see, so this is 1 year. So this fund's been around just for a year. In the past year, so then you can see the light blue is this FMDGX and the dark blue is the other one. And you can just pick the one that's done better because they're very similar in performance. As you can see, when they go down, they kind of both go down, both go up, but one is doing better than the other. So that's kind of how I decide between two. I just plug them in side by side and see which one performed better, and that's the one that I tend to go with. The last step will be to purchase each of the funds in proportion to how much you have. For example, if you have $10,000 and you're investing in the moderate allocation, then you would be 65% in stocks, which equals $6,500, and 30% in bonds, which equals $3,000. The remaining $500 would be in cash. You now know your split between stocks and bonds. The next step is to break that down even further and see how the stock portion is allocated. So of that $6,500 you have in stocks, $2,000 would be in large cap, $2,000 in mid cap, $1,000 in small cap, $1,000 in international, and $500 in emerging markets. For bonds, all $3,000 would go into corporate bonds, and for cash, you can just use the highest yielding option that your firm has. Now you know how you're allocated, which investments go in each allocation, and how much of each investment to buy. You can do this with any amount you have. Just take the amount you are investing and multiply that by the recommended percentage allocation for each piece of your portfolio. When you have all of this information, just go to the trading section in your investment account, enter the symbol and quantity, and click buy. If you'd like me to review your portfolio or help you with any of this process, I do offer individual financial guidance sessions. So take a look below. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Subscribe if you're new here. Give me a thumbs up because it really supports my channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye.